I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation, Real People, Real Conversations, and Real Success. And I have to admit, I'm super excited today to be talking to this incredible human being that I just met today, in fact, about 30 minutes before this interview. And why is this so special? Because the truth is that when we look at ourselves, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you see this image of yourself, how often do you actually realize and accept that there's so much inside of you that really is being manifested in that very, very moment? How many times do you instinctively know that there's so much in you that you're just not living in the way that you really want to live? And part of it has to do with your simple inability to actually discover what's really inside of you. And it's all about asking the right kinds of questions and having the right people in that environment around you that can help you and support you discover and then enhance and then optimize who you really are. And where is this more true than actually in business? You know, how often do you feel that you've got this tremendous potential and you're not really living it? So today I'm excited to be talking to Paul McFarlane, CEO and founder of the 1101 Experiment. Really excited to be talking to you and your perspective as to how you help people, how you help companies be the best that they can be, but also more importantly, and what I feel is dear to my heart, and actually the reason for this platform, is how we can expand the goodness and the well-being in a global fashion. So Paul, thank you.
Hi, good day to you, my friend.
So tell us a little bit about, what is it about optimizing, that brand and helping people discover what their true potential is, and what is your very specific strategy? Because it's fascinating how you help people discover what's really inside of them.
I won't be the first to say this, but I'll say it. The world is changing faster. What's happening, I always look behind me. In other words, the generations below, younger than me, they're very different. They didn't grow up with the changes that we went through. Technology is not a thing. It's our circulatory system. These are people, younger people coming up all the time who don't deal with racism. They don't deal with gender issues. They slip and slide their way through social. And businesses are so slow to understand this. So the potential that is sleeping inside any brand, any business, is always so much greater than the people in charge generally allow. The potential, as I bring it back to, is always a potential for love, universal love. We're in a world where we all know we're being sold to. And the messages and the behavior and the meaning of business and brands in this world needs to connect to our humanness on a deeper level, emotionally and even spiritually, to have a level of success that years ago was unimaginable, but today is critical.
So what is it for you to be human? I mean, and I have my own perspective on that, and I love the fact that you bring this up, because for me, what's most important, and oftentimes we just simply forget about this, is giving ourselves permission to be human. So what is that for you? What is it, this being human, and which is really the cornerstone of everything that you do?
Well, I kind of look at three levels of existence on this planet: animal, human, and divine. Animal, when we hug, it's our animal. We like to touch, and we are tribal, and we like to be with. Our fight or flight, all that happens on the animal level. On the human level is where the blossoming of love begins. It's where a human connection of consideration for the other, societal issues, and thinking. On the divine level, beyond duality and transcending all the foibles of the below. And I believe as you ascend, you can be in touch with all. You can be divine and still enjoy your body. You can enjoy your mind. So now that I sketched that in, being human, one of the things that people are told over and over and over again, you're being too sensitive, too thin-skinned. No, sensitivity is our gift as human beings. the more sensitive we become. We turn an ordinary language into poetry, sound into music. And the poetry and the music of our humanness is what makes the difference between things that just go by our consciousness, that barely stimulate our mental activity, or the things that actually make us more thoughtful, more sensitive, and have meaning. I'm going to show you a little matrix. Meaningful, meaningless, enduring, fleeting. Meaningful, meaningless, enduring, and fleeting. Let's start and put something in this bottom corner. Meaningless and enduring. Rush hour traffic. It's never going to change. I hate it, and it doesn't mean a darn thing, and it feels awful. And then you have in the meaningful and fleeting corner, you have social media, where it's like swipe, swipe, oh, the cats, swipe, oh, look at that animal, oh, I hate that guy, oh, swipe, oh, I'm there, swipe, 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 swipe. It's the 3-second beauty pageant. Facebook actually says 3 seconds and you watched a video. So if you're putting a video out there and realize that Facebook counts it as a view for your budget, if someone pauses for 3 seconds with it and it's a 3-minute video, you better think harder about that first 3 seconds. So the really, really sweet spot is enduring and meaningful. And the example I will give are the commercials. Yes, commercials that are done in Southeast Asia. Maybe you've seen them. The one example of the little boy who is fed by the local grocer, and he grows up and becomes a doctor who saves the life and wipes the bills away for the old man as he grew up. These are like 3-minute epics that are commercials for investing, insurance, and different things. And those are the videos that get effusive comments. People say, this is so important, this is so big, blah, 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 blah. And most brands don't understand that kind of attachment and beautiful connection people get is possible for every business, every brand, every person.
Love it. So tell me one thing, because it really comes down to our awareness. And you talk about sensing, and I hear a bit of an echo. Is that something you can adjust on your end, or?
Sure.
Not sure what that is.
No.
It just suddenly showed up. I don't know why.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's a lot better. So, you talk about sensing, and so clearly in our conversation before the show, you shared with me that you've had this awareness, from a very, very young age. You play 20 different instruments. You've been very involved in the music arena, and that's a language in of itself. And do you feel that has really helped you have that higher awareness of the world around you, and as to what's possible? Because I do agree with you, and I go one step further, perhaps, or just laterally, and I say life is emotion. So feeling, sensing, it's emotion. So what is that perspective on the fact that you do play 20 different instruments and it allows you to have that deeper insights that perhaps many of us don't have, and how can we get more of that?
Well, right now we're speaking and we're hearing and understanding because we've practiced a common language. But musicians, sometimes we'll say something like, I don't know how to tell you, but I can play it for you. It's another language. Painting, poetry is another language. And I love language and I love expression, and all those things that I do allow me to express on so many levels. And what that really means is sometimes we have to hear something for understanding. Sometimes we have to see something. Sometimes we have to feel something. And businesses and brands especially have to be adept to work with people who are gifted and adept at knowing which tool is best for what reason. But all of those have the potential to maximize our humanness and to bring more joy and more positivism, for sure.
And also just the dedication and the discipline to go after that, because when you talk about meaningless and fleeting, how often is our world, our lives, governed by all the meaningless and fleeting things, so that we're not really focused on what's really important. My belief is that, we all desire divine happiness, and it requires attention and focus and making sure that we can find it and have the right people like yourself, giving us the gifts and giving us the direction and insights to make that happen.
Well, I mean, my experiences with Global Fortune 100, some of the biggest brands and multinationals you can imagine, and some small ones. But it's just an issue of scale. The same energy has to be brought. I ask people every day, what's the last time you saw an advertising message that made your day? Most people can't think of any, and I understand that. But see, businesses and brands need to hear this. The idea that something like the human experience has to be mined as data in social media because everyone doesn't know what else to do, because they've abandoned or they don't realize the potential for deeper human connection. It doesn't require an hour and a half feature-length movie. It can be done in a few seconds. It takes great courage to do it. And I do mean courage from the Latin, from the heart.
Right.
If a business speaks from its very essence, from its very heart, as if it was the last thing it was ever going to do in this life, and puts that message out there, people will notice. That's what we really help companies do. We help them do really good things that people notice.
And you're finding that this is so much more relevant today than perhaps 10, 20 years ago, because that's what people are demanding. Is that right?
It's cyclical. Younger people, put them aside, but people late 20s and older, they're feeling the burden of hyperconnectivity and, oh my God, I have to put this on here and here and here in Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat, which wouldn't need a swipe, but oh, it's a dating app. Oh my God, I have to plug in my phone and charge it. And the younger people are like, yeah, what? Yeah, so they're fluid. And I think you have to understand what's common there and what's different. The main thing is any single person, doesn't matter what their experience is, you have to disrupt what is the constant paradigm with something remarkable. But too many businesses just say, well, we'll just boom, 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 keep slinging the same thing out there. And eventually they figure if they can annoy people into remembering them, that's aiming pretty darn low.
So one of the things that I like what you shared when you're working with companies is the way that you connect with the entire team and the kinds of questions that you ask. Because truly, when you look at any kind of company, it's the heart of the company that's really built by the team who understands and is in alignment with the essence and perhaps the original idea, of the mission. So how do you do that?
You have to get the language right. Understand the difference between compromise and consensus. In a compromise, someone loses. And in consensus, you're getting common factors. I always say we are more similar than we are different. But there seems to be more money to be made by dividing this up, which I think is a horrible shame. So you get into work groups, and I believe in mitosis. It's hard in most companies for people to feel really connected to more than 6 people, sometimes 7, sometimes less. Cliques break up, and you have to honor the fact that there are different energies and through departments. And what are those departments there to do? You're finding in top companies a radical retitling of things. Customer experience manager. What the heck was that 10 years ago? And people are struggling to redefine what all these things mean. When you get into a company, whether it's 2 partners or whether it's 10,000 employees, it's a living, breathing organism, and the dynamics of relations, whether it's 2 or 10 or 20 or 500, have to be looked at. But the consensus has got to be, when you get it aligned, not that people have to be in lockstep. This is not a fascist. But people are aligned for a common good that people can respect. In other words, And one team, one person might say, this is what I'm all about, and that's what you're all about. But you get that respect and collaboration going. In fact, oh my gosh, the more you get employees to know about each other intimately, collaboration and efficiency goes up because they suddenly know that person down the hall is an expert in something they need to talk to right now. And things move. It's just fantastic. And that potential is just barely tapped. And I'm going to break the valve off and let it on.
Nice. So if we talk about companies and optimizing companies, and if we look at it from the perspective of, and this is how I'm perceiving what you're doing is, transformation from the heart, optimization from the heart. Mm-hmm. If we expand beyond that and go on a global journey, where's the answer? Where's the answer for the rest of the world? To start going in that direction, because we have to.
Well, yeah. The fact is, people like to discuss how much of the world is developed and how much is undeveloped. What undiscovered tribes are there that haven't discovered electricity or language or whatever, or commerce. And that's worth thinking about. But I think I want to avoid a have and have not kind of way of looking at the world. But in broad strokes, you realize how much of the world has a smartphone, how many have electricity. Oh, how many need food? How many need clean water? How many have a desire to travel? How many have a desire for safety? And those values, those needs, those basic human contextualized terms, there is enormous potential for businesses to have an effect, and a positive effect in doing that. In fact, one of the new things I've been playing with my Swedish partner, and I crafted this thing called a constellation, where businesses, like a constellation in the sky, the stars don't move, but we just, in our mind, connect them and say, oh, that looks like a guy with a bow, and oh, that's his belt? Okay, that's his belt. Well, with businesses who can form a different kind of partnership, not where one merges into the other, but they stay separate and they stay who they are. But you arrange the companies or brands in such a way that they create new picture. And together they can solve a problem that any one or two maybe couldn't. That's what's really exciting, because partnerships need to grow too. And for instance, you can play a little game, look around you right now, and find three things. This is a can of coconut water. I had a credit card and a microphone. I have no idea how those three companies might do something all together, but it's a new way to open up your mind. Think, okay, well, could they solve some communication, health, and money? Oh, I use a credit card to buy these three. Should I spend more money in coconut water, or could the idea of speaking and microphone, speaking to other people, help spread the word about one? You just start thinking differently. But that idea that really big problems of the world, like desalinization, food distribution, whatever, major brands could come together on one level, or even temporary bonds, and solve a problem and move on, and solve a problem and move on. And just like molecules that reform. They're like constellations and molecules at the same time. And that mobile, agile fluidity of innovation, power, and goodness. The world's aching for it. I'm here just to kind of, push it along.
Push it along. Yeah. So let me ask you this question. Are we seeing enough of it now? And let me be more specific. I mean, do you expect us to have more of this today than we have right now? I mean, are we falling short to this collaboration, this cooperation, this global unity, if you will? Or are we right on time with what's happening? Or are we going to be too late?
No, but am I a pessimist or an optimist? I'm an eternal optimist. I believe the world is always becoming. There are those who say it's going to hell, it's going to the dogs, or whatever. And actually, going to the dogs actually doesn't sound like a bad thing at all to me.
I totally agree.
Always becoming. And we will outgrow things when it is time to outgrow them, because evolution itself, when the energy in a cell becomes too great for that one cell, it starts to split, mitosis, and then pop, you have two cells. That's cell division. And if anyone watching this just got a new idea, we just sprouted new brain cells right now.
Right.
So we're constantly growing. They say every 7 years, you've regenerated everything in your body. Well, one of my 7th pair of legs or whatever at this point, I find that very comforting. But the idea that we're constantly becoming, and all these innovations and new things that go up and down and change, welcome them. Of course I'm impatient. Of course I want to achieve all these things, while I'm still on this earth. And I want to push things. I wish there was a button. This is a good idea. And this one, just make it happen. Just make it happen. But then, yes, the world is becoming. So I'm doing my part. You're doing your part. Thank you. We're putting out positive, innovative sort of ideas in people, because those connections can spark connections that can spark connections. And like an electrical current, just jumps to the next place until there's a resistor or an attenuator, and boom, it just flies. And that's what I believe in. So with gratitude, I just acknowledge that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and I believe the same. I'm that eternal optimist, and I believe the word crisis is a different word for opportunity and resolving what doesn't work anymore, because it reaches a point of that it can't exist in that state and needs to change. And that's where we purge things and create an entire new balance. I also believe that, what's wrong is always available, and so is what's right. And life is a lot more fun when you can find what's right in it. And it's that energy and it's that focus that then allows us to, just as you mentioned, you see those opportunities around you and then expand and grow from there. And I think, if we just, switch that collective negativity into a collective positivity, we're not going to be in this path of polluting the world and try to self-annihilate ourselves. And but again, it's a matter of how do we evolve into that higher state of consciousness, and clearly with people like yourself, who are thought leaders in my mind, and really diving deep and making sure that people, get that message, even if it's one at a time. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, and I honor you for that, and I honor you with the 1101 experiment, which I'd like you to explain to people what that means. It's a beautiful meaning. And as we wrap it up, also hear a little bit about your personal journey from the time that you became aware and the story about Led Zeppelin.
The 1101 experiment, like everything I do, has to have a lot of meaning, because if it doesn't have a lot of meaning, I get bored and I'm done. So the 1101 experiment has many. I'll just tell the central one. 1101. Think of it as a male, a female, the womb, and the child. So the two, the growth, and the new birth. So it has a symbolic 3 at the same time. The number 11 itself has significance, the combination of the divine feminine 6 and the divine masculine 5. Number 11 is highly magical, letter K, 11, letter of the alphabet. So yes, I put a lot of significance in everything. So when clients get anything from me, why I chose that typeface, why I use that color, why I use that word, there's a good reason, always. My journey is basically like any journey. You're on the journey of any watcher, listener, viewer this video is on right now. It's a ladder. You do something and you stop it until you die, or you go up and you plateau. You go up and you plateau. My expertise on any musical instrument or anything is the same way. You learn something until you get frustrated and you force yourself to learn something and go. Or, as some people say, something happened to me. It happened.
Right.
But my journey has been literally that. This wall of books behind me, and this is only about, I have many more books. But if I drop dead right now, you or anyone could show up here and peruse that library and know quite a lot about what has helped make me me, because I'm hungry, ravenous for meaning, for new ideas and thoughts and learning. I have a very full mind, but I always keep it empty enough for something new to go in there. And that path has been remarkable as what I'm bringing to businesses and companies. I had to learn myself, finding our actual potential for love and massive potential of how awesome we are. When I was a teenager, I thought girls didn't like me, so I played guitar. And I got pretty good at guitar, and I wasn't very good with girls for a long time. And when you get to the point where you realize that you are lovable and you can actually love yourself, you can't give what you don't have, right? If you don't love yourself, you're no good for anybody. And learning to really love yourself transforms and transcends the bad pattern. And then there was a very definite time in business when I was quite young. And there was about 30, 40 people in a room, clients and everything. And I had that little voice inside me that said, look around, Paul. You're the smartest one in here by far. Prior to that moment, I didn't act like it. And when I started recognizing that and acting like it and owning that I'm a massive open channel for everything, emotions happen, money happened, all that sort of things happen. Tempering that with gentle humility, of course, but realizing how awesome I was and how capable and deserving I am of love is what I bring to businesses because I have experience on that. Led Zeppelin? Led Zeppelin, just because I heard a song in 1969 that blew me away, and everything they did ever since 1970 continued to blow me away. And because I have a passion and nothing stops me, I've gone to England. I visited the places where they did their things. I spent time with them in their own houses. I've seen them live in concert, and it's brought me so many wonderful things. Because when you have a passion for something, follow it. It brings you great things.
Love that. Absolutely. Well, Paul, I want to thank you for tonight. It's been tremendously enlightening and in a very, I would like to say, unconscious level as well, the way that you speak, the way that you relate and communicate. And I think that's so key for all of us because there is so much more within us. And until, we realize that or get help from someone like yourself to appreciate that there is so much more. So much more love, so much more fulfillment, so much more experience. And it just simply requires us to go after it and being vulnerable, like you say, and realizing, as Einstein put it, there's a genius inside of all of us. Your genius is different than mine and different than anyone else, but you've got that genius in you. And as one of the taglines for this platform is actually, tap into that authentic genius and live the life that you desire. And so I love what you're doing. I'm excited about the things that are coming up in your life and going to this amazing country in Holland, which will be pretty exciting. And so for people to find you, what's the best way for them to connect with you, to find you, and what's that process?
My email is on the 1101experiment.org, or as I usually call it, orgy. The 1101experiment.org site. You can find my contact there. You can find me, Paul McFarlane, M-A-C, capital F-A-R-L-A-N-E, on Facebook, and I'm pretty friendly with my connections that way. People can reach out either way, and from there you can get my Skype, my phone number, and my favorite color.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today, the professional human being. And this being human, great talking to you. And I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription Free Transformation, talking to Paul McFarlane, CEO and founder of the 1101 Experiment, and really, truly that thought leader that can really inspire us and give us that direction in our own personal life so that we can actually be the best of who we really are ourselves. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you, brother.